With English testing centers closed all around the world because of the COVID-19 crisis, what can you do? Is there a way for you to take an English test at home? The answer is yes. And in this video, I'm going to be comparing the IELTS Indicator with the Duolingo English test. Hi, I'm Jerry with Global Connection ESL. Thanks so much for watching. If this is your first time, welcome. I'm so happy to meet you. If this is your first time, I would love for you to subscribe. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and the notification bell. That way I will share more videos with you in the future. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at comparing the differences and the similarities between IELTS Indicator and Duolingo English test. Let's start by taking a look at the overview for the IELTS Indicator and Duolingo. First of all, IELTS Indicator and Duolingo now have a test that you can take at home on your own personal computer. The IELTS Indicator takes 2 hours and 45 minutes, just like the regular IELTS test. You will take 4 sections of the test. First, listening for 30 minutes plus 10, which is 40 minutes. Then reading for 60 minutes. Then writing for 60 minutes. And then a speaking portion with an IELTS examiner for 11 to 14 minutes. The Duolingo English test, however, is only about an hour, and you need about 5 minutes to set up. You need 45 minutes for the computerized test, and then 10 more minutes for an interview with an examiner. The IELTS Indicator will provide the results for your test in about 7 days. The Duolingo test, however, will send your results to you in 2 days. That's much quicker. And finally, since IELTS Indicator has published this test, they are offering it for $149 US. Duolingo, on the other hand, is only $49, much cheaper. There are requirements for your computer when you take the IELTS Indicator or the Duolingo test. Both tests require you to have a good internet connection. Of course, it's an online test that you take at home, so you must have a good internet connection. For IELTS Indicator, you need a camera when you're doing your speaking section because you will be talking to an IELTS examiner. However, you don't need your camera for the listening, the reading, or the writing. For Duolingo, you need a camera that is working for the entire test because you will be watched and monitored during the test. This makes it a more secure test. For IELTS Indicator, you need a microphone to use during the speaking section when you talk to the IELTS examiner. With Duolingo, you need your microphone to be working for the whole test, for the entire test, because some parts you will speak during the testing part, along with the interview toward the end. And with IELTS Indicator, you need a speaker or headphones to listen. However, with Duolingo, you need speakers to be able to listen, but you're not allowed to use headphones or earbuds. So you want to be careful about that. And one more difference between the IELTS Indicator and Duolingo is IELTS Indicator locks your browser, so you cannot open other tabs or other windows or apps in your computer. If you do or try, then it will disqualify you. With Duolingo, you are having your browser monitored. So again, you should not open a different tab or a different app on your computer. If you do, they will know that it has happened because they are monitoring what you're doing on your computer. Both ways, you want to be careful never to try to cheat. It won't help you in the end. How are the scoring for these two tests? Well, of course, you know with IELTS there are band scores from 0 to 9, and generally students want to get around a 6.5 or 7 to enter a university with IELTS. The band scores are exactly the same for IELTS Indicator. However, with Duolingo, you will have a score somewhere between 0 and 160. And how do we understand that? Well, let's talk a little bit more about that. But first, I want to tell you that IELTS has 4 sections where you have subscores, and some universities require a minimum subscore for you to enter. Duolingo, however, does not provide subscores. It's just one overall score. If we look at some approximate scores that are the same across IELTS Indicator and Duolingo, you can think of it this way. If you have a band score of 5.0, then that's about a 75 or an 80 for Duolingo. If you have a score that's 6.0 for IELTS, that's 95 to 100 on Duolingo. If you have a 6.5, which is a good entrance mark for many undergrad degrees at universities, you need 105 to 110 point score for Duolingo. And I always recommend students to at least have a 7 before beginning university. 6.5 is a good score, but you'll demonstrate a much stronger English skill with a 7, and you will not struggle as much with your university classes if you have at least a 7. A 7 band score for IELTS is equivalent to 115 to 120 in Duolingo. There are some other considerations to think about with these 2 tests. The IELTS Indicator is a temporary solution that IELTS is providing during this COVID-19 pandemic, this crisis around the world where schools and IELTS testing centers are closed. It's very likely that they will stop using the IELTS Indicator when this crisis is over. But it's a cheaper test right now at $149 because usually you want to pay about $250 at an IELTS testing center. For Duolingo, this test is a test that was begun a little while back and isn't planning to change. It's an online English proficiency test. Even though there might be some revisions, they intend to continue this test far into the future. You also want to understand that many institutions don't accept IELTS Indicator yet. There are a list, and if you want to know more about those, you can check the IELTS Indicator website or refer to this video that I just made recently about IELTS Indicator. There aren't that many institutions that take IELTS Indicator yet. There probably will be an increase in number of institutions to take IELTS Indicator, but still many institutions don't take it. My own institution, the university where I work here in Oregon, does not accept an IELTS Indicator score. However, we do accept Duolingo scores, and Duolingo scores are accepted already in over 1,000 universities or institutions around the world. So you might find that Duolingo will be more possible to be accepted by the university where you are planning to go. So please check with your university when you apply if they accept IELTS Indicator or if they accept Duolingo. What are some of the requirements for taking the Duolingo English test? The first thing you need to do is you have to have a camera, and when you start the test, you must show your identification. And this needs to be an official identification, perhaps a passport, a driver's license, or a government-issued ID. You also need to have a quiet place, a room where people will not bother you, that you can concentrate and have the test. The lights need to be bright enough and your face needs to be clear on the camera. You also want to set aside at least 1 hour, 60 minutes for this test, so that you are not interrupted. And finally, of course, you must have a good internet connection and computer to take this test. There are some rules that Duolingo has for taking this online test, and let me go through a few of them. Of course, you can look more online at the rules that are available for Duolingo, but here are a few to pay attention to. You must have your camera at the top of your monitor. You can't have the camera to the side or on the desk. It has to be at the top of the monitor. You want to use speakers and not headphones or earbuds. And I read with this information that you want to be able to show your ears during this test. So if your hair hangs over your ears, you want to put your hair back so that your ears are visible during the test. You cannot use pencil or paper during this test. You cannot take any notes during this test. There is no pencil or paper allowed for the test. It's 100% computer based. You cannot use outside materials, no books, no notes on the desk with you, only your computer for the test. You are not allowed to use your cell phone or tablet, other mobile devices during this test. It would disqualify your score. And you are not allowed to talk to anyone or look away across the room. If the test proctor sees that you are looking somewhere across the room for information or for what someone might be saying to you, then you could be disqualified on the test. And you want to know that you should not have any other apps or windows or tabs open on your computer screen. This will be monitored by the testing service, so you must follow this rule so that you are not disqualified. And last, don't leave your place in front of the computer. It's only 1 hour long, but you can't get up and leave and come back. That will disqualify you from this test. So I do have some recommendations for you. The first recommendation is to watch the demo video. I've included the link in the show notes, so take a look at it. It gives a sample of what the test is like. And the questions for this test are much different than the questions on the IELTS test. So you should prepare yourself by becoming familiar with these questions. Also, take some time to practice a free test. The Duolingo website has a free test that you can take that will help you understand the question types and what you will be expected to do. And again, just like IELTS, spelling counts. So please pay attention to how the test works. Take the practice test. And then, one more recommendation is to review these rules that I just went over. Look at the Duolingo website and look at all of those in the frequently asked questions or other places on their site. Once you know the rules, set up your desk, your computer, and get everything ready for taking the test. And you will have a chance to take a Duolingo test in 1 hour. So there you have it. A comparison between IELTS Indicator and Duolingo test. Both are online tests that you can take at home to get a score for entering a university around the world. Both tests evaluate your English language proficiency. Was this information helpful? Does it help you to decide which test might be better for you? I think it's worth checking both out and seeing which works best for you. And don't forget, check the university where you're planning to apply to find out if they will accept either score. If you still prefer using pencil and paper for testing, then you might want to wait until this crisis is over and take the IELTS at a testing center. You can still do that with pencil and paper. And for many students, that's the best choice. However, if you can manage a computer well, consider IELTS Indicator or Duolingo. Both could be options that will help you get ahead to reaching the dream of your future and the university education that you need. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this was helpful for you. If you like this video, please like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. I've been working hard at an IELTS preparation course, an online course that I hope can help you. If you want to know more about this online IELTS course, please check the link down below in the show notes. I would love to give you a chance to learn more about IELTS and improve your English language proficiency. You can join the wait list. The course is not ready yet, but I'm working on it. So if you want to join the wait list, please check the link down below. There are many more resources on my website and on this YouTube channel for you to improve and work on IELTS. Please take a look at these other videos or check out the blogs on my website. I hope they'll be helpful for you. Thanks again for watching. I wish for your success.